Welcome to I Got You Gurl. So, our first things first is we have our slogan. So, can someone tell us our slogan? Anyone?
It is think big, pray big, do big.
Yes. All right. So, what is our big for today, ladies?
So, I want to share something big. I think Elise, you have something too, so I'll let you share your big and Nia.
Okay.
But I wanted to share something that I heard somebody did a big. I was listening and I heard about Shaq and something that he did I think it was this past week. He had was out shopping and he was you saw that?
He paid for the guy's
Yeah, he was in the grocery.
Oh.
He was in the jewelry
store.
store.
I had no idea.
And he happened to overhear another person in the store who was paying for getting the balance on his engagement set that he was purchasing, and it was a really large amount that he still had owed. So Shaq actually overheard and went over and actually paid for the entire balance for this guy's engagement set, which was a fairly decent amount of money.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and so Shaq says that what he does is when he gets up in the morning, he looks in the mirror and he tells himself that he wants to be the best thing for somebody else's day.
Wow,
and I thought
huge.
that was just absolutely phenomenal. So he wanted to be the best part of someone else's day. He tries to find ways to do that. And so this was his opportunity that day to be that best part of that guy's day. And I know it had to be because engagement sets are not cheap. So that was my big that I wanted to share. I thought Shaq is doing big things, and he's a big guy. So, but I've always liked Shaq and I always thought he was a really cool person. So yeah, it was really cool.
Can we just talk about that though? Because that is deep.
Yeah.
Being the best part of someone else's day. So how many of us, because, we've all have had different walks of life and we have not gotten here just by happenstance. Someone has come along the way and helped us. And so to be able to be someone's, his ring bearer, I guess you would say, or he purchased his ring or, help someone out, who is hurting or who is ailing. That is huge. And so if we did that a little bit more, I think our world would be a better place.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Always need to find ways to make an impact in the world. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Anita.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is the goal for today? Like what is the goal for having someone come on and talk about college? I mean, you and I have already been, so
Yes.
Oh,
That's a great
actually,
question.
before we do that, Elise and Nia, share some bigs that you guys had going on this week. I forgot about that.
Well, for me, my big was I definitely prayed big and had to do big this week. This week, I found out that I was accepted to a college for dual enrollment. So that was super, super exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was praying for so long about that because the placement test was definitely not easy. And I studied and I prayed about it and I ended up passing the test and making it into dual enrollment, which is exciting. And then today we also had to do a statewide FSA test. And I was really, really nervous because it was a writing test and I normally don't do well on these tests. I have fallen asleep in the past and not completed it. And today, like this week, I was just like, you're just going to go and you're going to do good. I talked with my English teacher about it. He was like, you're going to do great. And I went in and I used the whole 2 hours I had. I sat up straight and I was typing and it was so good. That essay was so good. I was so proud of myself. And that today my mom had sent a TED talk about joy, and I just felt so truly just happy. The rest of my day was just amazing.
Awesome.
So yeah,
it's good when you know it's good.
yeah. I was writing this essay, and I was effective. I was using all these big words, and I was just I was so happy. But yeah,
Very good.
that was
Very
my
good.
big of the week.
Did you have a big, Nia?
I guess you could consider it a big. I also tested and I did good on it. I'm happy that the prompt wasn't too challenging, so I was able to write a strong essay. So
Right.
yeah, that was pretty good too.
All right.
Yeah.
Sakari? You have
Not
a big this
really.
week? No bigs this week?
Just school going by. I got one more month.
Yes.
So I'm a senior.
Yes.
Start crying.
So you definitely need to be talking about getting excited for college.
Yup.
Yeah. So we're expecting you to have a whole lot of good questions.
Yes, I am.
Very good. Well, thank you. And sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to make sure y'all could share.
Thank you for
your
that.
bigs this
Yes.
week.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to what today's topic is about, I think today is to just get people excited about college. Normally when kids talk about college, you're like, I have some time to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. Or they're like bored when they're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think today's goal is to get people excited and encouraged about college, answer a few questions about it.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So can we introduce who our expert guest is for today?
So today's expert guest is a college professor, an educator. He is also my dad, and he's
My dad too.
and his dad too, and an uncle, a friend, a coach, a whole bunch of stuff. But he is very well known for his expertise in education and in math.
And his rooting for school.
Yes, he's always like, go to school and get a grade.
Education.
Education.
I have a little master's degree.
So, yeah, that is our special speaker of the day. He's going to be answering most of the questions, so we'd like to welcome him.
Yes. Yes, have a seat.
All right, what's up, y'all? It's good to come in.
Yes, come on in.
It's safe.
Come on in.
It's safe. Yes, come on in the room.
I'm entering the room with 5 women, half of them live here, so I gotta be careful.
More than half.
You never know.
Here, mostly.
I know, huh? So, all right, what's up, y'all?
Yes. So our topic, we wanted to just talk about college. We wanted to get people excited about college. So we have some good questions for you today
Okay.
on college. We know that
Yeah, try to
this
sound
is your
good.
expertise. So my first question for you is, why should I go to college when I see people who can park cars and make 6 figures? Why should I
man.
go to college?
Right, because I
Okay,
think it's a
hey,
scam.
great question, because there are a lot of people out there that thinks college is a scam. And on some levels, I would agree with that. But there's a lot of information out there. Statistics show that the higher levels of education that you have, the more income, obviously, you're going to make, but the lower the unemployment rate is. So people who don't have those high school or they don't have any type of college degree, their unemployment rates are at around 6% or higher. A good average in under a good economic system is about 3% unemployment. So you can see those who just have a high school education or less than that, they are more than double what the normal unemployment rate is. So is it true that you have those people out there that do well without, going to college? Absolutely. There's always going to be exceptions to the rules. But you don't want to be trying to live your life as an exception. Put yourself in a good position so that you can be successful. So I would encourage you go to college to set yourself up for success. And what you're going to find out when you go to college, a lot of times you may not even use the degree that you got, but you've created networks in your life so that you will be able to go down the path in life much more smoothly, simply because you made those connections.
Great. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay. Next question. Who wants to take the next question?
So I think you kind of answered it a little bit, but next question is, how would college benefit me?
Benefit you?
Well, not just
At least over me,
specifically, not
my
specifically
daughter.
me, but anyone. How would it benefit that person?
That person. Great question. There's a lot of benefits for going to college just outside of the academic and the employment and income. So some of the other benefits is that, for example, how many of y'all want to own a house one day?
That would be nice.
Okay. It'd be nice, right? A house is a great investment. You go to college, you get a college degree, there's a higher percentage that you're going to own a house one day. People that have college degrees, they tend to have healthcare insurance. Their children tend to go off to college as well. So you're not just creating value for yourself, you're creating generational value. And so it flows into the next generation. So who wouldn't want to not see their children or their grandchildren or know that, okay, their great-grandchildren are going to be on a path towards greater opportunities of success versus opportunities of unemployment.
I like that. I like.
So I have a question. You often talk about, I'm going to kind of go a little different direction. You often talk about certain things that college students don't, or students that are going into college don't need to have. And one of those is a car. Can you share your insight? Look, yeah, exactly.
Because I'm going to need to be going to places.
So can you just sort of give us some insight on the real about when you get on campus and you have access to things like a car and a credit card?
Freedom.
You know, because remember on campus they'd have people trying to get you to sign up for your credit card.
Day one.
Day one? Yeah.
Child, they gave me $10,000 in credit. I was at the mall. And I had no idea how I was going to pay off that monthly
$10,000.
Yeah, so I had to get 2 jobs and go to college.
Well,
I got to be that year in literature because I was acting a fool. So yeah.
well, that's why I wanted to kind of bring it up because we do have, you know, those issues too.
Well, you know, college is a fun time for a young person in their life. It's an opportunity for them. It's their real first opportunity really to get out of the house, to kind of exercise some independence. They learn a little bit more about who they are as a person, things they're willing to compromise, things that they can tolerate, things that are deal breakers. And so it's a really fun and exciting time, but you also have to be serious about the responsibility of being a young adult because you can get yourself into hot water. So you asked specifically about the car.
Right.
So I'll just share my story. So when I was in high school, my dad, he was able to get me a little car. It was a little 69 Volkswagen Bug. I used to roll my Bug hard. And so when it was time for me to go off to school, you know, my school was close enough that we were able to drive to it. Okay. So it was like maybe a day or two before I was getting ready to go, and I was packing some stuff up, and so I started packing stuff in the car. And I'm thinking, this is going to be great. My dad's like, what you doing? I was like, I'm just packing some stuff in the car. He said, you're not taking that car. And so I was like, well, why? What's the problem? I'm going to college. He said, well, first of all, that's my car. I let you borrow my car. Right. So that's my car. He said, but second of all, you don't need a car on campus. What's the purpose of you having a car? And I was like, well, because I'm going to school and, you know, I'm trying to do my thing. He said, what's the primary objective of going to college? To get your education. What does a car play into that whole, you know, plan? All it does is it sets you up for failure. He said, I guarantee you, he said, watch how many guys have cars that are freshmen. By Christmas, they're going to be dropped out or flunked out or something. Their path is not going to go very well. I was like, all right, you know, old dude, he don't really know what he's talking about. So, so I go off to college, and sure enough, my roommate was one that had a car. And I mean to tell you, he had to go to every party. Because, not necessarily because he wanted to go, but a lot of times people wanted to go and they knew he had a car. So it was like, hey man, just drop me off over here. Just, you know, give me a lift real quick, man. I'll give you $5 for some gas or whatever. So now he became, back then we didn't have Uber, but he was the Uber driver basically of the dorms. And so he was everywhere all the time. Now he didn't drop out or flunk out that first semester, but it was real tough on him. It was more than it should have been. But there was a lot of guys that I did see flunked out for whatever reason. And the ones that did flunk out or got dismissed, they all had cars.
Wow.
The ones that didn't have a car,
Interesting.
they stayed.
They stay on.
They stayed. So yeah, you mentioned about like the credit cards. Young people, I know it's important to build credit, but there's smart and intelligent ways to build credit.
That's right.
And so just because they're going to give, because they will give you a credit card as a freshman in college, because you're building credit, you don't have any credit risk on your record. And so you apply for that $10,000 credit card and they're going to give it to you.
Wow.
No questions asked, because they know that you shouldn't really have any established credit, but you got to be smart. I'm not going to tell you not to get the credit card, but if you get a credit card, you need to use it for emergency purposes. Going to get your nails done, going to run up to the store to get you a nice little, piece because you're going to be going to this little function or whatever. That is not the reason. That's not the reason, Sakari.
Or you're hungry and so you go get a million 4 for
4 for 4s from Wendy's after track practice.
After track practice. I run my butt off in track, so I deserve to eat. So no one wants to cook at home. They should cook.
How you gonna feel when your credit receipt 4 for 4, 4 for 4, 4 for 4? You're gonna be like, I wasted it on nothing I got to show for.
I got 4 for 4 to get to 10K, so I will continue to eat that.
So y'all see, Nia's in trouble.
No, I'm not. I'm okay.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with going to college other than, the school part of it. There's a lot of freedoms that you get. So you have to take care of that. You have to be mindful that you are now a young adult and you have some responsibilities to be a young adult. And so you have to do that. So it's good to get some mentors, and it's good to have some mentors other than your parents.
Awesome. Next question.
Okay. So, can you tell us about living away from home, dorm life, the difference of not living at home, but either off campus or dorm life? So I know this is kind of a plethora of just questions coming at you on living away from home, but that off campus life.
Dorm life. Have to live with somebody else that you've never lived with before. So that's the first adjustment. You want to be good friends with your roommate. Because you have to live with that person. You have to share a space with that person. So, and now there's going to be some things about that person that you don't like. Maybe they're not as clean as you are. Maybe they, they don't like to do certain things. And you're like, why are they doing that? I just don't understand them. But you will be able to make some influence and have some influence on that person in terms of curbing their behavior to fit you. If you have a good relationship with them. But if you guys are at each other's throat, that's no way to live in such a small space that you got animosity towards this person, and it's just not a good vibe in the room. So you want to, number one, you want to have a good relationship with your roommate. Fortunately for me, my roommate was a guy that I grew up with. So we had never lived together, but we knew each other growing up. And we were teammates in youth sports. We played against each other in high school, and so we knew each other with this. So there was some familiarity, but we still learned a lot about each other, that year. Other things about just the dorm life, you have to be very disciplined. The big thing, young people, is always remember what is the primary objective of going to college. The primary objective is to get that degree. That's the primary objective. And so you can't let that distract you, or you can't let things distract you from that primary objective. There's always a party going on in the dorm. The room party. Every day. Monday, you think, man, ain't nobody partying on no Tuesday. Yes, they are.
Man.
Ain't nobody partying on a Wednesday. Yes, they are. So there's always a party or a get together, or what do y'all call it?
Getty.
A getty, okay, or a kickback.
A getty is like
getty.
a small
A get together.
Okay, so getties and party, and and so a getty, like Nia said, is not a party, but it could be a distraction. If you go into too many getties, it's a distraction. You're supposed to be studying.
Getty after getty.
It's a distraction. So for me, I had my rule that got me through college. was my study time was Sunday through Thursday. So I would study Sunday evenings, somewhere around 5 or 6 o'clock, and I would give myself 3 or 4 hours of study time on Sunday. I would study, Monday through Thursday. I would put in like 3 to 4 hours of study time. Friday and Saturday, I didn't do anything. I was off. That was my time. Most of the time, I didn't have classes on Fridays. I can remember maybe 2 or 3 semesters where I actually had a Friday class. But outside of that, nothing was going on for me on Friday or Saturday. Sunday morning, I wasn't doing anything, and I would go back to being a student Sunday evening. And so from Sunday evening to Thursday or to Friday morning, that was student time for me. I went to the parties. Every party there was on Friday and Saturday, I was there. But I didn't go to the Tuesday parties or the Gettys or, whatever we called them.
Right. I have a question.
Okay.
So I want to go far, far from home, and I'm talking about a different country. So
I know that.
do you recommend going to a different country? Because I have looked at the statistics, and they have a much better education than America.
Like studying abroad.
Studying abroad, yeah. But I actually want to go to a university in a different country for 4 years.
Wow.
So would that degree be valid in America?
It depends on the degree. So, which is a good question. So, for example, people who come from other countries that have a medical, credential, sometimes they come to America and it's not necessarily recognized. It just kind of depends. They may have to do some testing. They may not have to go back to school, so to speak, but they may have to do some additional testing, pass some tests, or some type of credential to show that their credential that they have is legitimate.
Right.
So I would say to you, Sakara, you need to do the research on the country, number one, know where you're going, understand the culture, make sure you can speak the language and communicate. Have an understanding of what degree you think you're going to be getting and how that applies coming back to America. One of the things, though, that I will suggest to all 3 of you and all the young people out there, don't think that you have to know what you want to study when you go to college.
I was gonna ask.
That is such a false thing, in my opinion. You don't know. College is a great time to explore, to get out, to do, study abroad, go to another country and see what that's like. Anita, I know you did study abroad, and that helped you with your Spanish. But to explore, take a class that might be interesting to you, just to see what it's like. It's a great opportunity. Usually by the time you become a sophomore, you're going to have to declare a major anyway, going into your junior year. So you'll have a pretty good idea of where you want to be at that time. But I'll tell you, a lot of times people change their majors. My oldest daughter, Jordan, she went all the way through college. She was pre-med. She went all the way through college, pre-med. She got a biology certificate, which required her to get some extra courses. I think she was on her last semester of school. She said, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to be happy with this. And so she switched her major. It put her back in school like an extra 2 or 3 semesters, but what she's doing now, she's much more happy with it. So she spent the majority of her college career on this pre-med path, and then she switched it. So that's one of the things that I highly recommend to young people. You don't let people pressure you into saying, well, what are you going to major in? So, because how do you know? You just don't know. It may change.
Well, what about if a person doesn't necessarily think that a 4-year college is for them?
Excellent. A 4-year institution is not for everybody. Everybody is not built for that. But again, I would encourage you need some education beyond high school in order to be successful. There's certification programs out there that you can get into, some wonderful certification programs. I know people who have done, like a CNA program, Certified Nursing Assistant programs. That's a certification program. They got out, they started working a little bit, and they realized I need a little bit more schooling so that I can make a little bit more money. They went back and they got the next level in the nursing, and eventually they became RNs. But they didn't do that 4-year track. They did a little here, a little there, and they did it more through a certification track than just going to a 4-year institution and doing it that way. So,
and that could even be beneficial if you're working your way through it as well, because that's another big topic with education. Is the concern is money.
Absolutely.
And I think that was one of our questions that we received was, what is the cost? I was talking to Elise and Nia. We were talking about college applications and didn't realize that those come with a cost. Some of those applications and things cost. So sometimes even going through maybe not doing the 4-year route, but it could benefit to maybe do a certification program. You start working, and then that job that you have will actually pay for you to further your degree or your education as well.
Right.
And you bring up a good point. The cost of college is expensive, period. Everybody knows about the whole student loan issue that's going on in the country.
Right.
That in and of itself is a pandemic.
Right. And that's
That is
A pandemic and a tragedy, because folks is coming out of school with $100,000 worth of debt.
Absolutely. And that's
that's
just
such a scam. Like, that's just a scam to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to school to get this education, to get this job, where I'm just going to live in debt my whole life to not be able to get the loan that I want to get to buy the house that I want or drive the car that I want. Like,
and I think that's why a lot of young people are dropping out. You see the trend because there's so much
many young people are like, college is a scam. Why am I going to college? And they're stripping instead. Like,
Wow.
OnlyFans.
Right. It's so
not that.
Of course not, but it's an example.
Everybody ain't gonna stick.
No, that ain't gonna hang.
Here's the thing about the financial piece of it. Sometimes taking out a student loan may make sense, but I would say to young people, if you're making that decision independently, you're not making a good decision. You need to have people that you are speaking to, family members, your mentors, people that are going to steer you in the right direction to help make that decision. So you should not be making decisions about student loans all by yourself. That's the first thing. Sometimes you have to be creative in the financing of school. You may want to go far away, Sakari, but financially it might make sense you have to stay in state. You might have to stay in state to do your undergrad because it's cheaper, and then you go away to do your graduate program. Grad school is a lot cheaper because it's only 2 years.
Really?
There's a lot of scholarships and opportunity out there for Black girls. Oh my gosh, it's tons of money out there
For advanced degrees.
For any degree, but yes, most definitely advanced degrees, because it's cheaper on the institution or it's cheaper on the scholarship funding organization to give you a 2-year scholarship versus a 4-year scholarship. So think about it in those terms. Sometimes you might have to say, college is not going to be a 4-year experience for me. It might have to be a 6-year experience because I have to work while I'm going through. But as long as you're progressing towards that degree, you're going to be achieving your ultimate objective, which is really good. So you just have to kind of sit down with your family members, sit down with your loved ones, and work out a plan. If you're trying to figure out that plan the second semester of your senior year, a few months before graduation, you're too late. You missed it.
Might not.
That window has closed on you.
Right.
So these are things that you guys need to be thinking about early in high school, so that you have a clear understanding of, okay, this is the path that I need to go down. The other thing is you got to be realistic about what type of family you come out of. If you don't come out of a wealthy family, don't be trying to live wealthy and do it big like that. That's just not your experience.
That's true.
And that's okay. But there's a lot of people that come out of, lower class families with low income, and they get into college and they find creative ways to finance it, and they do well, and then they help build up the wealth in their family and help lift them up to a higher class. So don't break your family just to go to college.
And party.
Or not utilize it.
Right. And just to add on to that, because you mentioned about, if you don't come from a family with a background of having that experience, when you seek mentors in college, that can be a great help to you.
Yeah, good point. Very good point.
Absolutely. You gotta have those. You gotta have those mentors. Real quick, Nia. I remember when I got to college, my second semester in college, made a bad mistake, got into some trouble, and it was. And I went to a PWI, a predominantly white institution, so there wasn't hardly any black faculty on the campus. I can recall 2. I think there was a total of like 5, but there were 2 that were present to me, and one of them reached out to me because he heard about my situation. He knew what was going on, and what attracted me to him was we were from the same area in Los Angeles. So he was like, I got to reach out to my young brother and help him out. And to this day, so we're talking about, that was 30 years ago. To this day, he's still my mentor. He's one of my best friends. Talk to him on a weekly basis. But if I didn't have him there, I don't know what my situation would have turned out to be. So, but he helped show me, a clear path of how you navigate this college world, because it's different. The rules change. It's different. Nia, you had a question.
Oh, I don't have a question. A viewer had a question. Their question was, how do you deal with your roommate if they have a snoring problem? But technically, I guess you could say that was my question because I don't like snoring.
What was the viewer's name that asked that question?
Maurice Gillis.
Maurice Gillis. So, for Maurice Gillis, what if your roommate has a snoring issue? I don't know, man. That one is tough. My roommate didn't have a snoring issue. My roommate had a partying issue. So, his thing was he'd be coming in late, and so we had to have that conversation about, look, dude, I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but just, be mindful when you come in late like that, probably trying to sleep or, whatnot. So just be mindful. But I was able to have that conversation with him because we had a good relationship. If your roommate is snoring,
Prop him up on some pillows.
I don't know. Like you, obviously, you have to talk about it at some point in time. I imagine you might get.
You just wait for me to go to sleep.
A roommate change though.
Sure can. But oversleeping, over snoring,
I don't know.
It can be bad.
I don't even know how that would work.
Board team, or you kind of manage the residential?
I wish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
The one that did go to college.
Yeah, I was not.
Was your roommate? Did your roommate?
My
snore?
mom is a
My
snorer.
roommate did not snore. My sophomore year, I ended up being in a single dorm.
Connections, that networking.
It was
and then
an
she
old
was on my
dorm.
apartment.
It was like a 100-year-old dorm that had just opened up, so no one wanted to go there. And I was like, send me, I'll go.
It's probably extremely quiet. I would love to go.
Was there anything wrong with the dorm?
There was.
Okay.
Actually, I found out after the fact. I think they had asbestos or something, but they, since then they have renovated it.
Okay.
I don't want to tear down my college, but yeah, since then they have renovated it. But I'm telling you, it was wonderful. It was a great experience because we were very close knit, us girls in the dorm, and I left my door open. I didn't close my door. I would leave. My door would be completely open. I'd come back.
My cousin was.
I
she
would
was
love
Jasmine.
that.
I used to see videos of her and her dorm roommates, and she had a roommate, but they were so close in the dorm, the whole dorm. She always had her door open all the time.
That's cool. I'd leave it unlocked. Yeah,
That's would be so nice to just be around a group of girls you trust. Around your stuff.
That's the thing.
Right. Because girls are so messy. Right. Yeah. These days you really can't trust not very many people.
So, before we end, I want to just give us an opportunity to shout out our schools. So, can you tell us?
Our school is Oakwood University. I am Miss Oakwood.
Share what sold you the one thing.
I've been waiting for someone to ask me that question. So, I forgot when we went. Was it 2017?
17.
17, okay.
Yeah.
2017, we had to go to Alabama for a family wedding, and my family couldn't come, but I went to be like the representative of the Overbees, right? And everybody loves me, so of course I went. And while we were out there, we took a little detour to Oakwood University, and let me tell you guys, first of all, Erin, I still remember her name, Erin, she was so amazing. Aww. She let us go, she actually let us go in her dorm, because we were asking her for a room tour, right? Yeah, well, we were asking her if we could do a room tour, and she was like, well, no, normally you can't, but I can just show you mine. And her dorm was so cute. It was so cute. And she had a bathroom in her dorm and everything. And like,
did she have a roommate? She
did have a roommate. Mm-hmm. Her roommate's side was a little messy, but her side was cute. Okay, her side was put together and cute. So she was so welcoming and so kind. She actually showed us her dorm, and then we toured the campus, and I loved the campus. It was green, it was pretty, it was beautiful. Then we went to the bathrooms, and I walk up in the bathroom, y'all. And as a black girl, we always gotta keep our hair done. They had washing bowls in the bathroom. Yes, like lean back, get your hair washed.
I think that makes sense.
They had washing bowls in the bathroom. Like, first of all, I can go to this amazing campus, and I can do hair. Right, that HBCU, I don't know what is. They had washing bowls. And so then we're walking around more and more. We're walking around the cafe. They have like vegetarian options and all that good stuff. And we make it to the skating rink on the campus. A campus with a skating rink. Now, if you know me, you know I live for roller skating, okay? They have a skating rink on the campus, and we weren't even supposed to be over there, okay? It was supposed to be closed. But the door was open, so it was open. So, of course, we walked in. It was huge. It was like a real, like a legit skating rink. Like, that night, they was going to skate party without me. Like, I was like, no way. And since then, I've just been sold. And then, I think we were at a convention, a church convention, and I saw Miss Oakwood. Like, the girl was crowned Miss Oakwood, and I was like, that is me. That is, I am her, she is me. That is me. I was like, I can be Miss Oakwood. So I was just like, from there, I was just...
So since then...
and on top of that, it's HBCU. And on top of that, it's a Christian HBCU. So all the men there should be Christian, so I won't have to worry about that.
Right. If we go, we got to just have to go skating
every night. I think that's going to be my problem.
Yes.
No parties, just go skating. Parties won't be my thing. Skating. At the skating rink, she's there.
That is so embarrassing. I didn't complete college because I couldn't teach myself because I
skated too much.
And it's so
but yes, that's why I love that school. And they have a farm on the campus, like fresh vegetation. It was just amazing.
Wow. Yeah. So we'll have to do it.
And oh my gosh, the best part. We went to the Friday night Vespers, and it was so amazing. The guy in the poet had tears. He had me in tears. The music was amazing. Yeah. They were just in the bathroom. And there's down the hall. There's 5 men all over the place. And we were. It was just 5 men. It was just 5 men everywhere. I was sitting down trying to focus on the poet and the sermon and 5 men. 5 men just walking by everywhere. But yes, that poem has been with me to this day, and I'm glad I recorded it, and it's somewhere in my old photos. But that poem, like, is engraved. It was so touching. I cried, and I was like, why am I crying?
One visit,
that Friday night Vespers touched my heart. Yeah. But yes, I forever will love Oakwood.
Okay. Wow, Oakwood, Anita, she did it for you, right?
She sure did.
But you had
all the time you went to Oakwood.
I went, not all the time, but I did go because I was in the library, just kind of doing.
But now you met your sweetheart.
I met my honey bun.
Very nice. Very nice. So Oakwood is special.
It is.
All right, Mr. Overby.
Alma mater.
Yes.
Nevada Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Number 13, one tray all day.
Oh my goodness.
One tray.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. What was your meal while you lived in your dorm?
The beer and fries.
The name of my dorm?
The dorm you
they
stayed
call
on?
it the ghetto, Night Hall.
And we stayed there?
It was known as the ghetto. So I was coming out of Compton, going to the ghetto. I'm like, man, I'm trying to get out the ghetto. We went back to the ghetto in college. But it was Nye Hall. I stayed on the first floor.
Okay.
The cafeteria was not good. I don't think it was nothing like Oakwood. So
Wait, can I just ask what made it not good? Like, was it like it wasn't flavorful? Was like the
well, you know, we come out of
PWI
a cooking family.
It's a PWI.
So the preparation of the food, how it was seasoned, it just wasn't prepared like it was like.
That's cafeteria.
No.
Yeah, it was like a straight
cafeteria.
And so breakfast was usually like cereal. It was hard to mess up breakfast. So breakfast was usually like cereal or some toast. I never ate the eggs because there was those powdered eggs, and you know how you go up to the pan and it's like half full of water.
And like the eggs are like crummy. Like
so it was always like oatmeal and cereals. That was breakfast. Lunch was usually like maybe a sandwich, some French fries. It was hard for him to mess up the French fries. Dinner was pretty much like the same. Like it was tough. The thing that saved me, because I was on the football team, we would have our training table in the evenings. So they would feed the football team in the evenings. That was good. Or we would get invited to a coach's house or something like that, you know, on the evenings. So that would usually be on like Thursday evenings. And so we were getting fed that way. So you survive.
Figure out a way.
The other thing that we used to do for survival, again, this was unhealthy. I don't recommend doing this, but when you're in survival mode, you survive. They had AM PMs. So for people out here, it's like Wawa.
Yeah, it's like Wawa.
And so
a little more ghetto.
They used to have these. You go in there and get 2 burgers for $1.
Oh wow! I remember
But
those.
now I don't know if that was real meat, but
Not the A&P.
like 2 hamburgers for $1. I'm pretty sure.
And it was good.
So, you know, we used to go around in the dorm. Me and my roommate, we would go in our dorm, and a quarter was a lot of money.
Wow.
So we would ask people for nickels and dimes. Hey man, let me get a dime. Let me get a nickel.
Oh, the poor.
So we go around and we gather up all of this change, and we walk up to the AM PM, and we come out of there with like maybe 10 burgers or whatever.
Oh my gosh, and
And-
eat all of them?
And eat.
Wow.
And
Wow.
So you
College
just
Struggle
survive.
is real.
College life.
You just survive.
The struggle.
Well, listen,
Auntie Amber, your college.
I did a little bit of a different. So I didn't do traditional brick and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
So I started off doing classes at a community college in Los Angeles. I was staying with my dad at JP College, and so I started there, and then transitioned and moved up to Nevada. I got married, and so I transitioned and moved up to Nevada. And so once I got married, then we started traveling and kind of doing stuff. So I did some classes when I traveled with Garnett to Philadelphia. I got an opportunity to go to a really cool school, MCP Hahnemann, and that was where I was on the trek to probably go into medicine, but life happened.
Be a surgeon.
Things go on. Stuff happens.
Dr. Gray could have been.
My doctor surgeon dreams sort of just drifted
Trickled
on.
down.
But it's all right.
It's still
I got
She got
beautiful
me.
babies and
Yes.
lovely children. And so once I had done having kids, my husband supported me in wanting to go back to finish. And so I started working on my degree. I started at UNR, thanks to my sister Anita and Garnett, got me acclimated, and then
Pass your math
passed
class.
my yes. That was my struggle. That was my fear of college, was math. It just was. But I overcame and actually was able to do that, and then the rest of it I did online. So I was able to finish at University of Ashton, and so I was able to finish and I got my degree. So I was very proud of my journey because it wasn't the traditional journey.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of steps and different.
Yeah, a little bit here, a
Step
little
forward,
bit there.
a little bit there,
Yeah.
slowed down, stopped. But I always kept my mind focused on finishing, and I always appreciated having support that, you know, my husband and my friends and family kept saying, just, you can do it, you can do it. And I did, I finished it. So yeah, it doesn't always have to be the traditional. Although I will say, I wish I could have probably had that dorm life experience because it did sound quite interesting.
Yeah.
But you were killing the game though, because you had 3 young babies, okay?
I did.
And you still went to school
Yeah, I was
and
trying.
did it.
Yeah, there were
so-
some long nights, but we
Sure was.
Uh-huh.
For me, I'm trying to study abroad. I'm living foreign. I'm telling you guys. My parents do not want me to go studying abroad, but I'm going. I'm telling you. I was on Spain.
Correction, we want her to study abroad. We just don't want her to spend all 4 years.
No, I'm studing all 4
4
years.
years. You all know.
First year, United States.
No, I'm getting out of America.
Oh, okay.
That will be another show. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
another show.
Well, thank you. We want to thank Barnett for coming
course.
on. We appreciate you sharing some awesome information
fun.
with us. Oh, good.
It was
I'm glad.
fun.
Thank you for being our first
I want to
guest.
leave y'all with this, especially about college prep and going to college. A quote that I heard. If you don't,
Got a quote.
this is the quote.
Yes, that's it.
I forgot who made the quote, but I know. But I don't own the quote. I know
Okay.
that. But
Anonymous will say.
okay, so it goes: if you don't build your dream, somebody else is going to hire you to help build their dream.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
I ain't building nobody's dream.
That's right. That's deep.
Yeah.
That is deep. Okay,
I
we're gonna
agree.
definitely put that in our
Of course.
chat or put it in the text of somewhere
We can
so
make a
that
post
others
about it.
can see that. But
Mhm.
that's a phenomenal quote. Wow, and that really hits home.
Can you
I'll
repeat it?
find out who it goes to.
Okay.
The quote.
Can you repeat it one more time?
If you don't build your dream, somebody will hire you to help build their dream.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
You gonna be Drake?
Like,
I don't want to build someone's dream.
No.
My dream.
right.
Building our own dream.
Right.
Yeah.
That's deep.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. Again, thank you for your patience while we got through the technical difficulties. But we are very glad that you guys came on. Hope you got some good information today. And we'll see you at the next I Got You Girl. So remember to think big.
Pray big.
Do big.
All right.
All right.
Bye.